Hello and welcome to WhateverEtc number 16 for the 20th of June 2012. Dwelling on limits, stalking farthest boundaries, beautiful nowhere. I want to dedicate today's WhateverEtc to my young friends that I met last year at the UNT debate camp and to the many friends that I've made through them over the last year. And I give you this small consideration today, guys and gals, for having kept me thinking about things over the last year. Reconsidering our own unimportance, in a sense our uselessness, our very non-necessity, we return and we ask our four basic questions. What's happening? How come? Where next? Why not? What's happening? Well, we look around us. Life is ongoing. The cosmos turns and turns. Things keep occurring even when we don't experience them unfolding. We see the reverberations of the world moving on around us all the time. Now, how come things just keep happening? Well, who the hell knows? I mean, science, religion, art, and philosophy each take a crack at trying to ask that greater question of how come. But we have to learn to engage as anarcho-cynics with life from our own dwelling, which is conditionality. The very state of our always being in motion, that we are already moving on until we no longer can move or can change. We are conditional beings. As Simone de Beauvoir reminds us, it is in the knowledge of the genuine conditions of our lives that we must draw our strength to live and our reasons for living. These genuine conditions, such as the 5 boundary situations that I mentioned yesterday, the boundaries of our experience: chance, struggle, suffering, regret, and death. Now, all of these have negative sounding connotations. But what I want to deal with over the course of the next few days, having begun with the ultimate situation yesterday of recognizing our own mortality, what I want to do over the next few podcasts is I want to deal with these boundary situations, and I want to revivify them in a way where chance, struggle, suffering, regret, and death do not hold the negative connotations that we give them out of our fear or out of our sometimes fatigue. We're subject to accident or chance. We are always struggling, if not against gravity as we stand to walk, maybe against the opinions of others or our own self-doubt. Furthermore, we already are suffering somehow because we are physical entities. We have headaches, backaches, diarrhea, constipation, heart palpitations, or because we're psychic entities, depression, anxiety, loneliness. Each of us has something that we are suffering through. We're regretful for what we have done, or what we failed to do, or what we failed to recognize, or what we could be. We have regrets. And we often despair because we see death and change all around us. While yesterday I touched on our most ultimate condition, we are mortal, we die, I suggested that this is actually our greatest ally, our greatest advisor. As our advisor, we are told to look back from this horizon at our other conditions. Looking back, we grasp through a new vision. Being at our boundaries or limits overcomes our limitations or the obsession with our limitations. At the farthest boundaries, we are not at where we cease and the rest begins. We are where our own beginning and this beautiful order intermingle. The boundary lands are where our opportunities for liberation lie. So where next? Whence then from the recognition of our own conditionality and our genuine conditions? We only project the next space, we only progress to the next place from how we come to dwell in our mortality. Imagining the possibilities of the on and on and on, the nowhere of being, throws us back into how we are living now here. How do you dwell? How do you dwell? Do you dwell in the enjoyment of your own most possibility? Or does all of this self-exploration, even in conjunction with the state of what's happening around you, does it get you to dwell not just on yourself, but in yourself? A knee-jerk reaction to owning our mortality is to ignore it. That is later, not now, not yet, I am young. Or we escape into fantasies of ourselves to enlist a renewed view of our own necessity. Being a singular expression of this beautiful order becomes an egocentric obsession with our individuality, our uniqueness, how we are making a name for ourselves. It is a rebound into the big con, to the self-delusion I spoke of a few podcasts back. Deluded self-obsession takes up all of our time and our energy. Rather than heeding our genuine conditions, our boundary opportunities, we endlessly think and rethink ourselves as this something special. And that dwelling is the fatigue of existence, is the wearing out of how we stand out against the background of life. We close off not only the possibility of what we could be, we close off what is happening. Thus, individualism in this sense is but a sad translation of egocentrism, solipsism, a way that we speak about it, but in, the great individual, but a way that we speak really from egocentrism and solipsism and hide that. It works from a fear, and it hides in the caverns of dread. This is a path, but what a sorry-ass destination. When we recognize our uselessness, when we recognize the need to deconstruct our self-importance, when we recognize that being at the boundary and look at the boundary where life and we intermingle, and we look back at ourselves, at our own most experience, when we recognize this, we recognize there's nowhere that we need to get to. There's nowhere that we need to go. We are already nowhere. Now here is nowhere. And that being the case, yes, we need to walk paths, but the paths will always go nowhere. But going nowhere, being nowhere, we should recognize that the path that is the least fun, that causes the most dread, that has no joy in it, that's not the path of heart. That's not the path that we should follow. So what I'm going to do over the next few podcasts is deal with how getting at these boundary situations, chance, struggle, suffering, regret, and death, opens us up to opportunities, opens us up to innovations in life. Don't treat them, don't think of them in a fearful way. I'll talk to you the next podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and good luck to all of my friends from last year's Mean Green Debate camp. And I hope that wherever you're at this year, whether it's going off to college this summer or it's going up to Michigan or Berkeley or wherever you might have ended up, that you have as good or better of an experience than you did here last year. And I hope you stay in touch with me. And tranquilitas et bonum vobiscum, tranquility and goodness be with you now and forever, all of you. And I'll see you next time at Whatever, etc. Thanks.